FileMakerTraining.tv. My name is Margaret. I'll be your broadcast engineer for today. Hello, camera focus. There we go. I am here with the fantastic Christian Schmitz. Christian Schmitz is the founder and creator of the MonkeyBread plugin. MonkeyBread plugin. I can speak English. It's the only language I know. In all seriousness, it's a really, really fantastic plugin. As a general rule, RCC does not recommend plugins. Most plugins, there's a lot of plugins on the market, but there's like a couple we recommend, and the MonkeyBread plugin is one of them. It is fantastic. If your FileMaker application, if your FileMaker stuff can't do something, with the addition of this plugin, it probably now can. So we are here. He's been a routine presenter as he goes over the endless content he has available, and we greatly appreciate having him on. But let's look at our training schedule real quick. So today we are doing the 13.1 release, or rather it's been released and Christian is talking about it. Monday is going to be FileMaker Wiki, the power of FileMaker with document management, wiki goodness. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, Nick is doing some OCR stuff as another mini-series, and then Friday will be an open server Q&A with Jacob. So if you've got server questions, that would be the day to talk about them. If you'd like to support the channel, we would greatly appreciate. We have our FM Training annual subscription bundles. You've got 3 options here. Pick the one that best suits you. There's one that's just videos, one that is like partial videos, one that is all the videos, and one that is all the videos plus FileMaker if you don't happen to have FileMaker. So it's 100+ hours of really energetic video content. If you've ever seen Richard present, you know that he's not boring. So that's really quite fun. If you'd like to buy the plugin or try it for free that we're talking about today, go to monkeybreadsoftware.com. Highly recommend it. It is also extremely well documented. Where is the documentation? Is it somewhere on here?
First click on the plugin on FileMaker. So.
Right here?
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. Documentation. The documentation is stellar and thorough. Oh, 7,076 functions. I'm like almost 100 functions behind. Seriously, this is really cool. It's fantastic. Christian is a fabulous presenter, and also if you ever have questions, you can very easily send him an email and you'll hear back from him pretty quickly. So with that being said, Christian, what are we talking about first today?
So today we like to talk about what's new in the MBS plugin in the latest version. You may have all got your newsletter or saw it on the website, and let's dig into it. So we got a new release. It's available for Mac, Windows, iOS, Web, for Claris Pro, Server, iOS SDK, and it got a few new functions. So let's start first. We got Windows OCR functions. Not sure if you know, but Windows has a built-in OCR engine to recognize text from pictures since Windows 10. And recently we dropped the support for Windows 7. So with requiring Windows 8, we can now load more components from Windows. And this allows us to use all the new things which Microsoft added for Windows 10. And we are going to add a few to our plugin over this year. And one of them is the OCR engine, which allows you to create a new OCR object, pass in the language. So the user usually has a language pack installed for the current language you're using, but you can install other language packs, so you get more languages. Then you can send in a picture for recognition, and the plugin will pass the picture to the OCR engine, will run through and get back a result. And then you may call here the text function to take the result, or ask for the result as JSON, where you also get some details like where individual words are on your picture. So MBS plugin nowadays requires Windows 8. So that's the reason we can finally use this.
All those functions that you've been waiting for Windows to have, now you can have them.
Yeah, so I got here a little Windows 11 virtual machine. Let's see. When you download the plugin, you get this nice examples folder with something like 600 examples. So you may spend a weekend playing with them. So Windows only. There's the OCR file. So we wait for FileMaker to launch. Yeah, there it is. And let's just drop in here a picture. Remove the text here and click on the recognize command. And we already got here the JSON version. But let's just check. So let me just put back text here on it. And you see we recognized some text from our picture. In general, we use text recognition to have a text version of the picture, so we can have a document management database and have some text to find the picture. Like you may use this for your scanned-in bills or receipts or whatever you have. So we have available languages. There's a function for that, and I have installed German and English. So you can just install language packs for Windows to get additional languages.
Which is all fantastic. Anyone, who's the Windows users here? David, a couple others, I don't remember. So hopefully you find this useful. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, while I am here in Windows, I can also go to our Manage Database dialog. And remind you that we have a little search box here. And this search box got updated to show you suggestions here. Other, so, oops. Oh, you can't name it other. Is that new?
What's that? What?
Okay, other is a reserved word.
Really? Other is a reserved word?
Yeah.
Put a word in front of other, like doggy other. Family, okay. Doggy other. Okay, make other the leading word. Try other the leading word. Then other doggy. Other space doggy.
Huh.
Okay, so just other by itself is a reserved word. Huh.
Yeah, so, okay, yeah. Maybe it's here a parameter name or keyword. Or... Okay, we learned something.
All right, cool.
So I close the dialog, save. Oh, no, it's a complaining. Oh, yeah, here. So when I go to relationships, we have here the search box, and in the pop-up menu, you see all the little table names. The plugin is checking for the table names when you open the dialog. So we see those which existed before, and then I can just type here and jump somewhere. I can use Command F to go to the field, can press return again to do the search, or use Command G. So Command G, no, Control G, sorry. So Control F for going here to the top, and Control G for searching again. And yeah.
Which is awesome.
So it's after trying this for 12.5, improving it for 13.0, we have now 13.1, and we have the pop-up menu. So
that's really handy.
Okay. I know the thing you missed is here our text recognition on Windows using the built-in OCR engine in Windows 10.
So that's new now? This
yeah,
plugin?
That's new.
What version of the plugin do we have to have this?
13.1.
And then is there any extra license for that? Or is it?
No. It's built into Windows.
Not like the Dyna PDF thing where it's like, hey, here's MonkeyBread, but then you have to...
Microsoft paid for it.
Okay.
Okay, and we have this vision recognize text function, which is basically the same as FileMaker's live text function. But we now enhanced it with OCR functions for Windows, so this function can now be used on Windows. Yeah, new checkbox.
Is the OCR working okay? Because I think we tried it on the Apple and the Mac one not too long ago, and it was really not good. So, I mean, maybe they've improved it, but it was like not good.
So, like here's the vision one.
Vision.
So, I need the picture. The picture is a screenshot from the website. Okay, so let's go on the website. Make the screenshot again. So, put the screenshot in this one, and now we do here recognize text. This is the output for Mac. And this is the output for Windows. And I see it has problems with small text here. Also, the Mac has problems with small text, so make sure you have 150 dpi and not too small text.
Okay. Does your plugin talk to that AI, that chat GDP thing?
Oh, well, that's just another web service for curl.
Yeah, no, I know, but
so if you get an account there, you got the API, you can use it with either insert from URL in FileMaker or with our curl functions. So you can do text recognition on Mac and Windows, and we also have still the Tesseract engine if you need that. That's for Linux. So we have 3 ways to do OCR. Okay, so the vision recognize text function. So get live text is built into FileMaker, and we have it then for Mac and Windows, and we have it with PDF support. So I think if you need something better than get live text, you can use our plugin.
Okay, so I've got, where did I go for the sample file? I go to examples in your directory. Is that what I did?
Yeah, there's an examples folder, and then you go to either the Win only folder where you find the Windows OCR example,
or
the Mac and iOS folder where you find the Vision example here.
Mac and iOS. It's called Vision. Vision. There's 2 visions. Vision without the Vision.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
So this is an example showing you 5-6 machine learning things like recognition of fear of a text.
Okay, so, and I run the script called what? Classify image, or what do I do?
Recognize text.
Oh, okay, hang on.
So classify image would tell us that this is probably a chart.
It thinks it's a chart, yeah. Let me see.
So let's put in a face. This is an adult.
Identify the optical equipment.
Yeah, your eyeglasses.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, okay. All right, we're going to try this one more time. You ready? All right, we go. I'm going to hide. You ready? How about that?
I only classify as people. Oh, people, adult, and eyeglasses. Ha!
Yeah.
Cool. Are you going to try to do the puppet?
Yeah. Hello. You got it?
So, toy, stuffed animal, puppet.
That's cool.
What it says, I'm a toy?
So, anyone, next topic maybe? Anyone using MongoDB?
That's a good question. Moyer's not here. I know he uses it sometimes.
Okay, so if you run a request on the MongoDB, and that's something we ask about the Claris Studio integration. If you make a find in FileMaker and on a table stored in the cloud on Claris Studio, will FileMaker translate the request into a MongoDB request, or will it just download the table from the MongoDB and do the search itself? Because there's a big performance difference if the search can be done on the MongoDB directly by the MongoDB server. And we have some customers using MongoDB, and so we got aggregate functions. And these functions work like in FileMaker, a statistics field or some calculation, where you would build a pipeline and send it to the server, like tell it to find certain records, then maybe sort them, group them, and give you the first 10 results or so. So if you have 1 million records on the database, it makes sense to process them on the server and not on the client. And so the aggregate functions are very important for that. We have them for either limited to a table or for the whole database. And with the command function here, you can run custom commands on the MongoDB. So you have to look up what the commands are, but there's some hello command in MongoDB to just ping the server and see if it's alive. But you can send any command as a JSON to the Mongo database. And then on the MongoDB, we added a few more functions here to create the connection options and check if you got a TLS for an encrypted connection. And you can switch the database, the default database, if you need.
There's a question here from Ken, who just posted this. He's talking about OCR. The OCR Tesseract, I think, is tied to Linux, right? So
no, the next thing is, so we have Windows OCR, we have the Macvision framework, and we have the Tesseract Engine. And for the Tesseract Engine, you have to figure out where you have the libraries. So the example here is coming with a test data folder, which has 5 language files here for German, English, French, Italian, Spanish. And so I can just open this example and press the run button, and then it will load the language data from this folder and run recognition.
So back up. So is the Tesseract engine in the folder, or how's it accessing it? Or where's the engine?
No, the engine, this engine is in the plugin, built into the plugin for here Tesseract 3. So there's a difference. We have 3 different versions of Tesseract. There's version 3, version 4, and version 5.
Okay.
Version 3 is really old, and that's what we just used here.
Okay.
If you have the libraries downloaded for the version 4 or 5, you can load them dynamically. And
so
then
you have to buy those? You have to purchase those, I assume?
No, it's open source, it's free. We have instructions somewhere on the documentation or on the blog. So you would, for example, install them with the Homebrew utility on a Mac, and then you get them installed in a directory, and the plugin can just load them.
So you install the Tesseract, probably 5, the latest one.
Yeah.
Can I ask a dumb question? Why are you giving us 3 versions? Is there a benefit to using
Actually, version 3 is about to go away. I want to remove it from the plugin. So I'm kindly asking everyone to move to version 5.
Okay.
I implemented someday version 4, and then version 5 came, and so I made 5. So the plugin can load 4 or 5, or maybe 5.1. So it's independent of the version, more or less. And if you don't load it, you still get version 3. And
okay, so 3 is built in. 4 and 5 you can use, but you have to load those into the plugin from the source on the internet. And it's open source, but you still have to do that. Can I ask a dumb question? Why not just put 5? I mean, I own your product. I bought your product. I think it's a great thing. So let me just ask the guy that I buy the product from, why not just put the source for 5 in, or is there a reason we don't want to do it? Because it's extra hassle that I have to go through to figure that out, right? So why? I would ask the question.
Well, I would like to not include the library to make the plugin smaller.
Okay, all right. So, there's a question and answer. I have no problem with the answer. I just wanted to, because like some things, like with certain versions of products, like a version 4 would be free, but a 5 is a paid upgrade or something like that. So anyway.
So I currently have here, I can show you. This is what Homebrew installed. So here's the library.
Yeah, so Ken's asking about how to install it. So yeah, how do we install 5? What do we do?
Let's see. Did I write that in the documentation? Maybe. Let's see. Load. So what did I hear? Yeah, I just put in a. Okay, I just put in a quick note. I may have a blog post about that. Maybe this one. Yeah. So you would go to the Homebrew project.
Okay.
There you find here. This is a command line to install Homebrew.
Okay.
The interesting thing is this is using curl to download the script to install it and then run it with bash.
Okay.
So this is a 1-line installation command. Once you have it installed, you would use brew install Tesseract lang. So you request the package named Tesseract lang, which is a language package. The language package itself requires a Tesseract package, and the Tesseract package requires the laptop here, the Leptonic library for image processing. So if you just run this command, it installs all the packages. And then it's installed and you can load it.
Okay, so so that's Homebrew, but it's Homebrew. Let me get back up. So we're dealing with a lot of people here who are not quite Homebrew.
Let me see.
Is this a general install or is it a Tesseract specific? The missing package for Mac OS. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Tesseract 4, I made a disk image with all the files on the website.
You did?
And yeah, I did. So you have a standalone version. For 4, I made that, not for 5. So for Linux, you ask again to install the package. You can on Linux use apt cache to search for a Tesseract package and then install it. You may get a newer version. And for Windows, we got an installer for people to use, and then you can install the Tesseract Engine with a normal installer.
Okay, so I just went through the Homebrew install on my machine here. Okay, cool. And then we'd have to, then we go to the next line. You go to the brew install tesseract.lang. And is that everything, or is it?
That should install everything. But well,
okay.
Could be that things changed. Tesseract, there is Tesseract. So the package is there. Yeah, for Intel and Apple Silicon. Current version is 5.3. Okay. So,
for those of you who've been watching our live stream on the React Native training we're doing in the afternoon, we've been doing a lot of command line installations lately. So.
Okay, but OCR could be the topic of another video. So.
Okay, well, maybe we should do. Anyone here want to do a deep dive into getting Tesseract 5 installed for Mac and Windows? We want to do that on a live stream because OCR, you know, no one needs it until you need it, and then you need it like right now, right? So, for your project.
So what else do we have?
I mean, Nick's doing some OCR with some API service stuff, but. Doing it with a plugin, partly I like it because you get Christian Schmitz, who writes a lot of blog articles and sample files and stuff. So there's always more than one way of doing something, right, Margaret?
Yeah.
So let's see. We have the archive function. So archive functions are very useful for working with zip files or other formats like tar, bz2, 7-zip. And we have a few useful functions.
Yeah. Is 7-zip still a thing? I haven't used that in probably 10 years.
No,
it's still a thing?
Usually I just need the zip function to make zip quickly to send some files to a client as an email attachment or so.
Okay.
Or upload something. So we got new functions here to dynamically build archives. So we have the archive create function, where you can tell which format you want and which compression you want, some options, and then you start a new zip file either in memory or on disk. So we are flexible. So if you just pass the file name, you start it in memory. If you pass the file path, we create a file for you. And then you call functions like add file to just add a file based on a file on disk. Or you can use add container to pass in a container document. You can also pass in the file name to use. So it doesn't need to be the same as a file name, but if you don't pass one, we take it from the file name, from the container.
This is a pretty insane feature right here. I mean, managing a zip file, actually constructing out of the blue a zip archive.
In memory, yeah.
And then adding stuff to it. And then do you have, I guess you run a command to close it or finish it?
Yeah, there's a close function. Okay. And the close function will either give you the container value, so you can put it in a field directly, or you can...
this right here is huge. This right here is a huge feature. Am I the only one thinking this is bad, or is that just me?
You can drop a zip file directly into a field? That's nuts.
Well, no. You build it, Margaret. Then you drop it straight into a field.
So,
David Angel says you add a password to the zip.
Yeah, of course.
course you can. This is Christian Schmitz. He never says no to anything. Yes,
Okay.
you can.
I think I have an example here. So here's an example file. We just have a few records with PDF files. So we start a zip file on the desktop folder, zip with deflate compression. We just loop over our records, and then we add each container to the zip archive, and then we close it. Let me run it, and there it is. So I can unpack it, and there are my 2 PDF documents. So I got the other one here. See? So this is a different example script, which creates without file name here, no file name, no path given. So it creates it in memory. We add PDF files again, and then we put it in the container field here.
Okay, back up. So doing it in memory requires that you have memory. So obviously writing it to RAM memory is faster than writing it to the drive, unless you have an SSD, and it's probably not too bad. But if you had a very big, you could run your plugin out of memory, right? If you were doing too much of this, Christian Schmitz, right? Yeah.
Well, technically, yes, but you will need a lot of gigabytes.
Well, I know, but leave it to this crew here. Someone's going to try to jam 10 5 gigabyte images or whatever, 500 gigabyte, 500 5 megabyte images, right?
Yeah,
into a
but
zip. And then warning.
If your destination is a FileMaker container, you have to be in the limit of the containers.
That too.
So I think 4 gigabyte is the maximum. So technically, if you run out of memory, you will notice that it gets slower because your machine's starting to page out.
Yes.
But eventually it will finish. So
stop for a second. This is more of a mid-level, junior level question. I know probably half of my engineers would not understand what you just said. So, but I've been around the block a long time. So if I say, this is a test question, YouTube, Twitch, Discord, Margaret, whoever's on YouTube. If I say you're on Windows or you're on the Mac and you're writing stuff to RAM memory, that's a clue. And then the computer starts to page out. What does that mean?
Well,
Christian, no, you can't answer the question. It's a test question for them.
Does anyone know?
Anyone. If you have an application on a modern computer, say in the last 5 years, 10 years, on an operating system, and you are in FileMaker or some application, and you give it 2 gigabytes of RAM memory, it's allocated that RAM memory, and you're writing to the memory, and then someone comes to you like Christian Schmitz, who's a very smart person, he says, well, we put a lot in there, it's starting to page out. What does that mean? It used to be back with the older operating systems of Apple, you had the RAM memory, and then you could turn on virtual memory. And that was a setting that you would turn on and it would use automatically. The problem is that as soon as it started using it would be slow as shit. And so we would always tell people, turn that off. If you need more RAM memory, buy the little chips that you stick it in the computer, right? And so paging out means it's taking you're asking for more RAM memory, like the little chip memory, than it actually has allocated. So it starts pretending it still has the RAM memory, but it's actually behind the scenes writing it to the drive. And if you have a spinning drive, some of you still have these things, right? Then it's going from chip speed to spinny drive with a little needle like a record player thing, and it goes a lot slower. So what happens is that's what paging out is. It's basically this idea of virtual memory, but it's being automatically handled and processed for you. So if you're an advanced developer, I apologize for having this conversation, but they're like my daughter, I guarantee she's very technical. My son's very technical. They have no idea what I just said. And now I'm trying to explain to them because it's an important concept. Okay. Yep.
Oh, there's much more to it.
It's even much more than that. But that's the high level.
Let's look on the statistics here. So this Mac here has 64 gigabytes of memory.
Yep.
And there is nothing like free memory because I'm using memory. And everything which is not used for applications is used for caching files to make any file access on the disk faster. So if you double-click here this file and open it in FileMaker, the system will cache it. So if FileMaker is reading the same block from the disk, it will get the second copy from RAM. It will be much faster.
Yep.
And then if more memory is needed, the first thing is the system will throw away cached files from memory because it can reload them. And then it will try to also compress memory. And eventually, if there's no more room left, it will also swap out and write it to the disk. Memory you don't need.
And that's that kind of idea of that paging out stuff, right? Yeah, so it's active.
That's paging out. So there are applications which I haven't used in a while. Maybe I haven't used here I haven't clicked on the control panel there, or I haven't used the login screen. You only use the login screen when you start the application. So the memory used for the login screen can be swapped out and you have no effect on your performance.
Yep. So as we start to become more intermediate to advanced developers, these are the things you think about, right? As you're taking FileMaker or the Claris platform and you're going beyond the basics of using plugins and managing memory and building zip files and doing OCR and all this other stuff. You start to suck, and it's why people go, hey, would you like to buy an Apple laptop with 8 gigs of memory? Don't do that, because what you're doing is you're setting that threshold really low. It's going to start paging to the drive early and soon and often. That's why the more RAM you buy, you're deferring that. Now, if you're like my wife, who's hopefully not watching the live stream, she opens every possible application on her computer simultaneously and lets them run simultaneously. So that pile of available RAM goes to like 0, negative. And so it's constantly paging on her computer. And so whenever she says, oh, it's going slow, and I realize that she's got the maximum amount of RAM that we bought on the computer, I have to tell her to restart the computer and quit running so many apps. If you quit the apps, it will free them up, but sometimes a restart's helpful. So once again, sorry, basic stuff, but very important.
Yeah, but you can just watch this web used number here. And this is about how much RAM you are basically not having.
So you have 64 and you've used like 66.5 or something, is what you're saying? That kind of thing?
Yeah, so eventually it used a little bit of swap. Doesn't matter really, 1, 2, doesn't matter. But if you buy this 8 gigabyte machine, you will see here maybe 10, 20 gigabytes. That is really telling you that you don't have enough.
Yeah. Yep. That's enough.
But back to the zip archive.
Hey, Margaret, that's your hot tip for the 25-year-olds out here who never had to deal with virtual memory and RAM. Back when we had to buy memory, a little tiny stick of memory.
Again, to the zip archives. The maximum is 4 gigabytes, and I hope you all have 4 gigabytes of memory at least. So, and you can always just create a file on disk for zipping. So do we have any other questions for?
Dirk says, what about zip archives? Is that a real question? Dirk, man, I've been listening. Give us a summary of what your new product does with zips.
We can create zip archives. We can compress something into it. We can read them. We can see what's inside, extract files, give you a file list, and verify whether they work. Yeah. So we started. We started with things like compress container. This is just a quick handy function to just take one container and make a zip archive from it. That's something people seem to need. So
yeah, no, that's how the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Hey, can we take something out of a container and zip it? I have a question. A customer comes to me. I had this tech support question. They said, hey, I put all these things in a container and I'm getting this error message because they're doing some audio files on the Mac. Turns out they're creating a package. They have packages, and a package is really kind of a folder. And so could you automate the process of taking that package, zipping it? I mean, obviously if you zip it, you could bring it into a container, but you need to kind of somehow control that. So Christian Schmitz, if I was going to hire you and buy your plugin, how might you solve that problem with this?
Let me see. I would just take an example like this one.
Okay.
So I would go and say you have somewhere on disk, you have this package, which is basically a folder. So I tell you here, go to this folder. I say the plugin, take a look what files are in the folder. And then we tell the plugin to compress all the files in that folder into a zip archive.
Okay. And it's writing it into a container there. It's just writing it onto the drive. It's writing it onto the drive. Okay.
Yeah. It depends. If you ask it if you ask it to make a file, it makes a file. If you don't tell it to make a file, then it will make a container. So
yeah, this is a legit question. Now, in all fairness to this customer who may or may not be watching this conversation, they had terabytes of these packages, in which case that's not necessarily something you want to, even if they're zipped, you don't really want to stick those in containers on a FileMaker server because terabytes and terabytes. It's better to have those on an outside server somewhere. He had like 100 terabytes, right? So David says, for using zip with MBS library, or is it already in the operating system? So he wants to know. Go ahead.
Yeah, the library, the archive library is built into the plugin. So we have the same library on all operation systems. And the archive library is not included on macOS, Windows, or Linux by default. Another special thing here is when you build your archive and you want to include a text file, you can just provide it as text to the plugin and define which encoding to use, and then we just add it to the zip archive. So you can create text files without having text file, just the text.
That's interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah, the idea here was that, for example, you want to email something and you want to not add 100 archives, 100 attachments, so you make one archive for them. Yeah, so we are not using the operation provided zip functionality. You can also use zip with our shell functions. You can just run the zip command line tool. So next thing is Windows user notification. We, I wrote the code, and for the new version, I added a couple of new properties here. So you can have notifications which are automatically expire if you reboot the machine, or you can group them or set a priority and things like that. So let's go to
user notification. Yeah. Oh yeah, here you go. You're going to demonstrate this? Is perfect.
Yeah, of course. We have Windows here.
Okay.
Okay, so I initialize the thing. Okay. So that's like a lot of plugin parts are only active if you actually start them. So unless you use them, they are not even taking memory. So I create a notification, I show it, and there it is.
Wow.
So
this is at the local client level.
Yeah.
Can you
There's work to do. So the idea here is that your application can run in the background and make a notification to the user. And the user may be logged out. The screensaver may be running, but it may still show a notification. So this is more for being in the background. Something happened and you get a message. So like someone sent you an email or you got a notification. So more options for the Windows notifications.
Mm-hmm. This will be useful for the wide variety of Windows users.
Then we have Webkit. Webkit using JavaScript. So we have this JavaScript functions here to use the JavaScript engine on Mac and iOS. And then we added Windows and Linux support. So a lot of people ask us for using more modern JavaScript engine. Like you can use those JavaScript functions on a server, on a FileMaker server side. You can use them on FileMaker Pro or on iOS, and they run without a web viewer. So if you have some piece of JavaScript code you like to use, you can do that with the plugin. Like I always show this example. There was a customer asking me if I can translate this CSC calculation from JavaScript into FileMaker calculation. And I directly said, no, that's too much work. So I decided we just load this JavaScript into our JavaScript environment. We use a property for the input, and then we can just run the JavaScript to calculate it.
Okay, so JavaScript is actually running not on a web viewer, but it's running inside your plugin. Is that correct?
Yeah.
What version of JavaScript are you running?
This is the version coming with Safari, so it's quite a new one.
Okay, but it's like version. It's not the latest one. And we were doing this in our course last week, the week before. It's like 5 or 6 is like the latest one.
Well, that's a plugin version where the feature was introduced.
Uh-huh.
And so here's a test script I made. So this is using a syntax thing that was added in 2019. So you can use here, use newer functions and the const keyword. And that feature is not available in the duct tape engine, which we also have available with the JS functions.
You said what? You said duct tape?
Duct tape, yeah.
What did you say?
That's the name of the JavaScript engine.
Quack, quack. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't heard that term in our JavaScript class. So
well, it's the implementation of a JavaScript engine. So we're using JavaScript Core here. That's the engine used in WebKit for Safari. And because we are using on Mac and iOS the version coming with the operation system, we always get the latest one. And now you can load a version for Windows and Linux. So you need to get the JavaScript Core DLL for Windows or install the JavaScript Core GTK package on Linux. And then you can just load it at runtime and use the JavaScript functions on Linux and Windows. And I think I had a blog post for that. Let me just, yeah, it is. So this is FileMaker server 19.6. And I'm running here a few JavaScript functions. So I load the lib JavaScript core GTK. So that's a WebKit version of JavaScript shipping for Linux. So, and once I have the library loaded, I can just run a JavaScript on the FileMaker server in a server-side script. So if anyone has the need to install some JavaScript, to run some JavaScript here, you can do that. Here's a sample script.
No, this is very timely because we're trying to finish up week 3 of our JavaScript training, and it's gotten pretty interesting. So anyway.
Well, in general, I'm not using the latest JavaScript features myself because I want to be a little bit compatible to different browsers.
No, I agree.
Different engines, different operation system.
Because we had some people in there, we had some people in the class who were JavaScript coders and FileMaker people second, and they were like, well, that's not the latest version, except the latest one doesn't necessarily run in FileMaker, right? There was some issues with that. So very interesting conversation. I have been getting schooled really hard the last 3 weeks. Crazy, crazy, crazy.
Okay, so JavaScript. So what else do we have? Oh yeah, we have the WebView all cookies function for Windows. So this function exists for a long time for macOS, but recently we got a Windows version. And so you can go on a website and you can log in and then you can query the cookies. And then you can, for example,
log it into on a web viewer in FileMaker.
On a web viewer, yeah. On a web viewer, and we often have this problem that the user is telling me, I go on a website in a web viewer, and then there's a download link. I like to grab this link and use a script with curl to download the document. But if you don't have the cookie, you're not allowed to download it. So
yes.
You have to log in once on the website, and then the scripts can read the cookie and use it for curl and
to pull it down.
Something from the website.
Covered that, I think, in week 2, where we would inject some like jQuery and some other stuff into the web viewer, then we could do extra stuff like pulling down the content and stuff. But yeah, you're right. You'd need the cookie, and to get the cookie, you'd use your plugin. So it's almost like we got to marry these two training sessions together, Margaret.
Yes.
Okay.
David Angel, we're assuming the person is already logged on their own computer, right? So getting the cookie, you're getting the cookie off of your own computer that you've already created, right? Where you were clicking in a web viewer and doing stuff, then there's a hidden cookie. Then we're saying run a script in FileMaker that talks to the web viewer to pull that cookie out. So it's not really someone else's cookie. You're getting access to a cookie that you already created manually, if that makes sense.
Oh. So next thing is I also made the print to file function for Windows. So we can save a web viewer as a PDF. And this may be something I can show you. So let's go. We have a few web viewer examples here. Which one should I just pick one? I need to turn on the network. So let's see, does it load?
Got a lot of flashing and stuff going on here. Let's see.
Okay. Oh yeah, I have to load.
Oh,
okay. So that's my article. So
now we want to print it so you can run a
yeah. So you see here is an example script. Here we have a command line. So say print, I pass in the file path. So I copy that. And then I go to the data viewer. So I don't write a script for this demonstration. I just put in the command here. And just notice that copy and paste doesn't work. Users in a single name, maybe. Nah. I don't want help. Desktop, test, PDF. Is it Christian? Yeah, okay. So
they got okay, they have
the PDF.
Nice. Okay, now come back into your blog there or over there to the right. Click on the okay, so you scroll up. So it says print via WebKit 1.0, but I think we're on WebKit 2 right now, right? Go back down right there. I saw it. Nope. Yeah, right there. Sorry. Yeah, so WebKit 2 is as a FileMaker 16 Mac or with Windows with version on operating system 11.5. Okay, so is that Safari 11.5 or Mac OS 11.5?
That's my plugin 11.5.
Your plugin 11.5. Okay, Windows added support with 13.1.
So
blah 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 blah.
This function was added with version 4 about 10 years ago.
Yeah,
and
can you scroll down for?
Yeah.
Okay, so this code where we're setting these margins and stuff, it says for WebKit 1.0. Does this work with 2?
Yeah.
It
It should work. Yeah, I would expect it.
Background 2. So okay, so okay.
There is always so this function was introduced 10 years ago for the WebKit 1. Then I added WebKit 2 support for FileMaker 16. And now I added Windows support for version 13.1 for the WebView 2. So that means I should also add here a note for FileMaker 19.4 or later.
Yes.
You have a few options you can set, like I think whether you want landscape or not, or portrait and margins. And I may add more options over time if people are interested. But so far, I just was very happy to find a way to print to a PDF file built into the WebView 2 engine on Windows. Now the operation system does the work, and we can benefit from it.
It's pretty awesome. Well, we're kind of any other hot items you want to talk about? Because this is all good stuff. I'm going to write this up and make sure my senior engineers know about this.
Okay.
Because it's
libxl. We have the library to do Excel files, and we got a lot of new functions related to form controls. So if you have an Excel file including a form to fill out, you can work on the fields with a plugin. And you can set a few more things like here row height and the selection for the PDF, for the Excel document. So when you build an Excel document with a plugin, you can set a selection, default row height, and edit all the form fields you have on your document.
Wow.
Then we got the search and FileMaker script workspace to use regular expressions.
Yep.
So I can, for example, search for a variable starting with a D and ending with E by using a regular expression. And this has to be turned on in the preference dialog if you want to use it, or by a function here.
Okay.
For iOS, we got a function to recognize swipe gestures and then trigger a script. So you can react on a swipe in your iOS app. And this can help you to make your iOS app feel more like a normal iOS app and less like a FileMaker solution. If you want to use DynaPDF, you can now write PDF UA files, which means they are accessible. Yeah, it's an extension to the PDF format to make the files accessible. There are some governments asking people to provide PDFs in that format. So we have clients who want to do that, and so we added functions for that.
Okay, that's a new thing.
So if you have the requirement to produce PDF UA, you can use our plugin, as well as many other versions of PDF files. And we also got new functions to sign a PDF in a two-step process. So you can do the signature step, which could be external or an API or somewhere. So you're not signing on the device, but you're maybe talking to a service which provides a signature. Then we got more support for clipboard functions on Windows. So you can now use the PDF thing on Windows. So you can get a PDF from the clipboard or put it on the clipboard. And if someone copies a picture with, you use the get picture function and they have a PNG on the clipboard, we can give you the PNG right away. Then we have our read image functions, which are useful to use encoders, decoders on from the operation system. So we use it normally to convert the HEIC or HIVE files to a file format FileMaker can read, like PNG. And I added Windows support for that. I think it was, okay, maybe 13. So I think it was 31. Okay. So you can convert them. And since it uses operation system functions, you can install additional formats, for example, raw images, and then also read them in FileMaker. So maybe someone has a question, but otherwise I would take a look on my release notes.
Okay, no, David Angel has a question, and we are kind of running out of time. So David says, is it possible to save to Excel, open Excel, run a Excel macro all automatically, question mark?
And you would, well, you can open an Excel file with macros, a template file. Then you can edit it with our plugin and write it back to disk. Then you can launch Excel, passing in the file name as a parameter, so it opens it. And then whether it runs anything, I don't know. It depends on how Excel is configured. I personally would turn that off. I wouldn't want Excel to run macros automatically, but yeah, you could check it. Then we also got a new function here. It's maintenance expired, so you can have your code ask if your MBS license expired. And also we got a state. So I'm working on a free tier. Just like Claris.
Yeah, well, yeah, but you already have a free one, right? You already have a free tier.
Yeah, but we get it more official. Like I already marked over 2,000 functions to not require a license.
Okay.
So currently 2,000 functions are marked as being free. So people
Wow.
could only use the free functions and not pay. But of course, we hope
There you
they
go.
eventually pay because they want to use one of the better
All
functions.
the extra capabilities. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. All right. Well, I think we're running out of time. Anything final thoughts or comments, Margaret?
No, I don't really see anything. So I think we're.
So please send me your wishes for the next version. As I'm already
So
busy.
with support at Monkey MBS, what do we do? Where are we sending the?
We have plenty of contact forms on the website. Here, ask a question thing. You can just
Contact
put
us.
in some text, fix the context links, support at monkeybreadsoftware.de.
So he's looking for feedback. So if you have something that's missing or something you can't do, if it was me, I'd email him first to make sure it's not in there, and then I would. And then if it's not in there, then figure out, what it's going to take to get that added. But yeah, pretty cool stuff. All right. Well, good job, Christian Schmitz. Once again, essential plugin for the FileMaker platform. Have a good one, everyone. We'll see you Monday. Margaret, is Monday. I'm up Monday, right? On the
Yes, you
broadcast.
are. Wiki.
I'll be back for more sauce spiciness on Monday. See you, everyone.
Bye.
Got a report of an individual up here who may be a FileMaker license. Well, it's potentially expired. Look at the back of that car right there. Looks like the FileMaker license has expired. Sir, I need you to step out of the vehicle. Sir, step out of the vehicle. Sir!